Hey, thanks for jumping into this video. Someone just asked me this question on an Instagram poll. This is what it says. I get accused of using faith as a catch-all excuse for having a lack of answers. How can I respond? I think this is a really great question that hits a lot of us because it touches upon something that every Christian believer feels, but almost all of us have a lot of difficulty explaining to our friends and family members who don't believe in God. Richard Dawkins, an evolutionary biologist, most famous for his defense of evolution and even his antagonism towards religious faith, once said this. He said, "Faith is the great cop-out, the great excuse to evade the need to think and evaluate evidence. Faith is belief in spite of, even perhaps because of, the lack of evidence." Bold words for sure. So is faith a cop-out, and do we lack good evidence for our faith? Here's what I would say. Richard Dawkins represents the perspective of a lot of non-Christian people, but his views on faith are a massive generalization. Now, I will agree that some people will say things like, you just need to believe, right, to cover up that they haven't really thought critically about their faith. But I don't think that that's reflective of the majority of Christians, and probably not you if you're watching this video today. I know that my faith in God is based on my own very thoughtful evaluation of the Bible, of history, and archaeology. I've thoughtfully compared Christian explanations for difficult things like pain, suffering, and poverty, and I've reflected diligently on my own experiences and whether or not Christianity can make sense of those experiences. Being someone who didn't grow up in a Christian home, I've reflected quite a lot on what other religions say as well. And with all of that evaluation, Christianity is the view that I thoughtfully believe makes the most sense, has the most evidence to support it, and makes the most sense of the world that we live in throughout every generation in time. So for Dawkins or anyone to say that faith is a tool to evade thoughtfulness or dodge evidence is a massive overstatement, but we always want to be gracious in our response. In fact, those who ascribe to a belief in the theory of evolution are actually putting their own faith in the very theory that Darwin created. And if Christian faith is a tool to evade evidence, could it not be argued that evolution or atheism can become a cop-out or an excuse to evade the possibility of God's existence? The reality is that everybody is putting their faith in something. What I think unbelieving friends and family members are doing when they say that your faith is a cop-out is that they're mistaking your lack of answers for evasion instead of seeing it as what it truly is, which is a deep trust in God. I mean, let's look at it this way. If you trust your parent, you have faith that what they do for you is always for your benefit, even if you don't totally see the reason for their decisions. Christians and people of faith believe that what happens to them is always for the best, even if it seems painful or wrong right now. We have so much trust in God's power and his goodness that we know that if something has happened, then he has allowed it to happen because he's powerful enough to stop it if he wanted to. And we believe that he is good enough to use it for bigger and better purposes than we can totally understand in the immediate moment. We know this and believe this because we know that God says he will use all things for our good and that he will always take what the enemy means for evil and he's going to work it into something that benefits us in the long run. Because we have this kind of trust in God's character, we even believe that things that cannot be explained right now either don't totally need to be or they will eventually make sense to us in the end. In essence, God will reveal why he has allowed something when the time is right for us to know. Think about a good parent who says the words, "I'll tell you when you're older." Not everything needs to be answered right now, but if you trust your parent, you know that there's a reason for their decision. And I'll add that this isn't blind faith either. Like, I trust God and I believe that he'll always do what is best for me and for others in the end. But I don't blindly believe this. I believe it because of thoughtful evaluation of the Bible, of what I've seen throughout history, and most significantly, because of past experiences. See, God has made a lot of promises in the Bible, and he's kept every single one of those promises to me. I have no reason to believe that God's character is suddenly going to change, and for that reason, I trust him and I have faith in the promises that he's made. Well, since we started with a Richard Dawkins quote, let's take it back to science one last time. If you were to ask a scientist why something is the way that it is, and the scientific method had not been able to find a reasonable solution for it yet, the scientific equivalent of faith would be the scientist saying, "I don't know, but maybe we'll figure it out eventually." Would anyone consider this to be a cop-out? Absolutely not. Why? Because we know that science can't explain everything right now, but those who have put their faith in the scientific method believe and have faith and trust that one day, with enough time, everything will find a reasonable explanation in the end. And so it is with the Christian. So when responding to your friend or family member who tells you that your faith is a cop-out, don't feel like you need to remember or use everything that I've said in this video. Just take the main idea and let them know that you have faith in God because God has always revealed himself to be faithful. Hey, I hope that response to the question helps you. Maybe it even sparks more questions than you had before. Feel free to drop those questions and any comments in the comments section. I'll make sure to read every single one of them. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button so that more people can hear these words. Hit the subscribe button for more videos in the future. And I hope that you walk away from this video with just a little more faith than you have before. See you next time.